But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Marvels because I know you guys are all excited to see it. Now,
I can't wait.
what's interesting, right, is that depending on which outlet you consult, it's either the cheapest or one of the most expensive Marvel movies ever made. And I don't know which way to go with this because, according to Vanity Fair, the Marvels cost around 130 million to make. Now, to put that into perspective, 2019's Captain Marvel is estimated to have cost between 150 and 175 million. 130 million puts the Marvels in line with Ant-Man, which costs around the same to make, and has thus far been the cheapest MCU movie. Unadjusted for inflation, the movie's budget is lower than 2008's Iron Man, the project that officially kicked off the MCU. None of these numbers include marketing and other costs, obviously, that could result in a movie needing to make 2 or 3 times its budget to technically break even. But, according to Forbes, the official budget for the Marvels is over 275 million, making it one of the most expensive MCU films ever. This comes as a bit of a surprise, seeing as how the movie is only rumored to be around 100 minutes in length. That's not been confirmed yet, but the high cost is likely due to the extensive VFX work that will go into bringing it to life. I hope it costs 275 million. I really do.
Yeah.
It has. They've been lying about their budgets for a long time. It's got to be up there. If there's one thing that Marvel has shown is they have no idea. Well, Disney as a whole has shown is they have no idea how to manage budgets anymore. Like all of their stuff is super expensive to make. That's why they can't turn any profits.
I think they have to be aware of the cultural aspect now that people like to point out how much they're bleeding. And so they want to like staunch the discussion as well as the bleeding at this point, I'd imagine. The fact is, you watch the trailer, and I can understand why someone would buy the it's a lower budget. You see the fact that there's like loads of shots in just people's houses, and you'd be like, oh, that must have been relatively easy to do. And you see the shot where she's flying, and you're like, wow, that looks like some of the worst CG flying in the history of like the MCU. And you're like, wow, maybe they did cut budgets on this. It's like, yeah, but then you start thinking about how the budgets were announced a long time ago when they were filming before reshoots, and the fact that this is a Marvel project made in this era. It's not like this was cobbled together in a time where they were starting to tighten everything up. This was one of their stupid projects that they decided to splurge on. So, yeah, I have no reason to think that this is a lower budget compared to something like Ant-Man or anything else.
Didn't it have a bunch of reshoots too?
Yes.
Yeah, those are expensive.
Almost
not cheap to do that.
To redo the VFX because you want to change how things play out and also like bring all the actors back and reshoot a bunch of scenes. That really adds to your cost because they obviously want to move on to other projects. And yeah, man, like this is going to be like such an expensive failure. Like we all knew it's not going to be successful. But if it had cost like 130 or 150 million, you could almost say, well, okay, they're not going to lose too much on it. But good Lord, 275 million. And this, I tell you, this is like Hollywood accounting as well. Like, as Gary and I have pointed out, and we've been told by pretty reliable sources, they underreport their expenditure on these movies by at least 50 million. So, like, it was the same with Indiana Jones. It was the same with, like, basically all the superhero movies. The real cost will be north of 300, not even including marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the kind of stuff you could only have gotten away with in, like, 2018, 2019. No way can you make a film like that now. Yeah, this is going to be horrendous for them. Even the trailers just are so, like... They're not even fun. They're not fun. Even if you're doing it like from the angle of it just being a goofy, ridiculous adventure, it's not even like amusing from that point of view. It just looks stale and boring and played out. I just don't know what the appeal is meant to be with this.
And who's even excited for these characters? Like, so some people they know who Brie Larson's Captain Marvel is from that movie, being sandwiched between the Avengers, but nobody watched Miss Marvel. In fact, Miss Marvel was the lowest watched Marvel show on Disney Plus. I don't remember what WandaVisions were, but you would have to have watched WandaVision to even have an idea on who Monica Rambeau even is. Unless you're a comic book fan, and not many of those anymore.
I mean, at least with WandaVision, that was back in the early days of the Marvel TV shows, and there was at least a degree of interest in that, and particularly because it had a bit of an unusual premise. It's like, okay, fine, you've done something a little bit inventive with that. But with Ms. Marvel, yeah, that was just, it was marketed towards like teenagers or something. Like she's a super young character, and it's all like high school dramas and stuff. Like nobody cared about that, because probably their audience is like guys in their 30s and 40s. It's just, that sort of shit just doesn't interest them in the slightest. Like as much as they've tried to branch out to other demographics, like I don't think it's worked like anywhere near as much as it needs to.
Well, I think it was the Marvel core fans that got like the phase 1 through 3 got so much attention because of the initial fans, and then it broke out through those fans. Just now they're just throwing things just about anywhere, hoping it sticks, and yeah, it's not doing it. But I've got to say, I am unironically so excited to see the Marvels. I cannot wait to see this movie.
I think we're all pretty excited for it.
I think
but not for pure reasons.
Oh no, not even a little bit.
Because it's like, I can only assume they know it's an absolute turkey of a film, and they have just done everything they can to delay it. And like, okay, we'll do some reshoots, see if we can fix this. And it's been delayed about 3 or 4 times at this point, and they've probably realized like we can't do this anymore. We're just gonna have to put it out there and hope for the best. And it's probably very much like DC with like The Flash and Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle. Like all of those movies were lame ducks, and they know they were going to fail. It's like, we just have to take the hit and get this over with. But yeah, man, this is not releasing into the same world that the first Captain Marvel came out into, when basically anything with the Marvel name on it was going to be successful. This is a tough environment for superhero movies now, and I just can't see what this film's going to offer that's going to be remotely successful.
Well, other than Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, there hasn't been one. Has any superhero movie done well this year? Other than that,
Batman.
Was that this year?
Or was that last year?
Yeah, that was last year. Pretty sure.
So they had.
Time is moving.
Yeah, we had Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that did good, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't blow.
It did good because it had a relatively small budget.
Yeah,
it's an animated movie. So I mean, that was financially pretty successful for the studio. I think Guardians 3, it certainly made them profit. So that's fine. Like, it wasn't a loss for Marvel, but
it had legs. That's what helped it.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone was exactly popping the champagne on that one. And I think, as Muller pointed out previously, that was a James Gunn movie. That's why people went to see it.
Yeah,
because he had a proven track record of making good Guardians movies. But that's it. Like, that's the end of the trilogy. He's gone. Probably none of the actors who are in it really want to do any more of these, and so that's the end of that. They can't exploit that any further. So really, yeah, like for Marvel, it's going to be Quantumania, which was a flop. You've got Guardians, which was a marginal success, and you've got the Marvels, which is going to be a flop. So
I would include Secret Invasion in there too, because that was also pretty lackluster. Nobody really watched that show either.
I mean, if you'd said like, we're gonna do a TV show with starring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, I mean, that seems like gold. Like, that seems the sort of thing people would have gotten super excited about 10 years ago. Now, yeah, man, that flopped. Like, no one seemed to be interested in it, and it's the way the industry's going. It's the way the genre's going. You can't release stuff like this now and expect it to be an instant success.
Not in the way they're doing it now. Just putting slop out. Just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, they got away with it for a good number of years, and they made a lot of money in the process, but like, eventually that catches up to you, and it really seems like it has now. And it's like, you either raise your game and start producing much better stuff, or you just kind of implode. And it seems like they've chosen the second option.
They've chosen to implode. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does seem to make way too
that's what
many
it seems
bad
like at this point.
decisions to not be deliberate at this point. You know.